Welcome to the DIY3DTech.com channel.
Welcome to this edition of DIY3DTech.com. In this edition, we're going to take a look at some of the modifications we've done to the TwoUp printer. So I've done a series across building this complete thing and several modifications, and these are probably some of the most significant modifications that I've made since I've originally built the printer. And, I think as you can see here with these, I'm basically printing the feet out for it. That'll mount to the side here, and so coming out very well, knock on wood so far. So a couple of the modifications that we've made, you might notice we've raised the bed up about 1.5 inches, and what we've done is created stanchions to not only raise it up but also contain the springs, and we've also changed from a number 4 bolt to a number 6, and then notice it has a Phillips head rather than the Allen head, so it makes it a little bit easier to adjust. We've also modified the nut holders down here for number 6 nuts rather than the number 4. So this has worked very well, because the problem we were having with the bed before is the spring just sat on these 2 pieces of melamine and would shift during heavy infill rapids and cause the print to basically shift, and so that was a problem. This seems to, so far, again, knock on wood, have solved that issue, so that's a good thing. The other thing we've modified is the belt holders, in that the belt holders that come with the TwoUp originally were simply pieces of melamine. Here we took an existing one from Thingiverse and modified it again to hold the number 6 nuts, so they're recessed, so you simply tighten them down with some, I think 3/4 inch or 1 inch number 6 screws. So again, that's worked very well. We did have an issue over time. The belt would come loose, and so far, again, knock on wood, so good. We also modified the X gantry here, and this took a little bit of doing because there does seem to be an up and down to this, so be careful when you put it on if you print it from Thingiverse. And so this, again, this whole combination here has really improved the overall performance of the Y-axis, so we've been happy about that. The other thing is we've modified the gantry. Now, I really like this gantry. I had tried the other gantry, that was printed as a solid, and I really was not overly happy with it because there wasn't a good way to really adjust the distance between these rods and tension this belt. With this setup, you can. Now, I used number 6 screws. Pretty sure I used number 6 inch and a half long. Now, I did have to use some number 4s in a couple spots to mount the motor, and also for this section right up here on this one, these are 4s. But otherwise 6 seems to fit well, and I've converted it to screw heads, and again, that's done very well. So I've been happy with this gantry. It gives a fair amount of extra clearance on the gantry. Also, it's not really clear when you look at it on Thingiverse, but take note of how this is mounted. Actually, one of the pieces of this blue section, which holds the Z-axis, mounts into the motor, and then the other is a number 6 screw over here, if I get my hand out of the way so you can see it. So again, that's worked very well. So again, I've been very happy with this. The other thing that I did is I got this to pin the Z mount back to the gantry itself. This has worked really well, because one of the things that it does happen when this freely rotates, it allows in the Z motion, allows this gantry to skip. And while it still skips a little bit, this has been a great improvement. There's a skate bearing inside here, and this mounts up here. And I basically warmed up there's an internal piece that mounts to the rod. I've warmed it up so it basically screws on there, so it's very tight. And this basically pins this now in 3 spots, so it is far more rigid than it was before. So again, I've been very happy with this, and actually in the up motion there's very little Z skipping, or where it jumps, because it doesn't have 2 motors. So again, been very happy with those modifications. Let's see what else. I think that's probably been the biggest. So it got a lot of man hours actually in making these modifications to this. I printed these out. All this stuff is printed out in ABS. I printed them out on the DaVinci and then mounted them on here. I did add the bed leveling switch to this. I still have some adjustments to do in the firmware, but I've got the servo mounted, wired in. I've got the switch set up, so all that's actually working pretty good. And I'll do a video in a little bit once I get all the kinks worked out with Marlon about the bed leveling. Also, with the bed raised up, it has been a lot easier to level. I still have the problem that this melamine is warped in the middle a little bit by about 0.3 millimeters, so I do have a sheet of cardboard in the middle, real thin cardboard, to kind of boost up the glass here. And I think I've done another video of these hold downs for the glass. I still have to epoxy the nuts on the bottom. It dried while I was epoxying the other stuff and didn't make it, so I got to mix up another batch. So because it also makes it easier, so I use the dial indicator mounted on both sides, zero it out, and then just move it around. And again, here's the results. So again, very happy with this. Again, have done a couple test prints with it, and it seems good now, printing out the feet. So hopefully it'll do well. And then we have the extruder. I always have a hard time saying that, set up here. I do want to build a revolution indicator on it. I do have a bit of a knob so you can see it turning, but I do want to come up with an indicator. So if anybody's got some good ideas for an indicator, please leave it in the comments below. I'd like to add something to kind of monitor that and maybe even measure it. I'm thinking about doing some sort of feedback loop even off of this, maybe just for grins and giggles. So I've got stuff wired up back there on the ramps. You can see the light flashing in the background, so I cut that out in the CNC and mounted the power supply and everything back there. It's sitting on two 500mm maker rails with feet. This is bolted down. There's also another cut piece of acrylic up in the front here that's also bolted down. So the whole thing is actually very rigid right now, and actually somewhat portable. You can pick it up and move it around. It's pretty stable, because it's both pinned with this in multiple points. This plastic you can't see too well, and as well as in the back. And then we built out of half-inch angle these stanchions to hold the spool wire, and have a 1/4-inch rod. It's a little bit of a pain to change out the spools. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is print a holder that'll mount inside the 1/4-inch holes, and then this rod will simply rest in it, and then I'll have two locking nuts on the outside to kind of hold it in place, the rod in place, and have it roll, because I do want to mount 2 or 3 filaments of spool up there all the time, so I can switch it out rather easy. Because one of my goals for this is I do want to use it to print out some semi-production stuff I want to do for Etsy. I want to do some camera sliders and things like that I want to sell. And so that's why I'm trying to get this tuned up and just make this sort of a workhorse, because most of the pieces that I'm going to be doing are going to be pretty much flat stock, as you see here. So not really fancy manifolds or anything like that. So this really is a good option. I like the rigidity of PLA. Actually, for these camera mounts, what I'm thinking about is getting the carbon fiber PLA and using that in place of the regular PLA. So we'll see how that goes to kind of just boost the rigidity. So anyhow, if you have a TwoUp or you're thinking about getting one, I would definitely recommend many of these modifications. It really does do a good job at improving the prints. The print qualities I'm getting out of it now with these modifications are pretty much near par with the DaVinci. There is still a little bit of tuning I have to do. I actually, for some reason, had to drop the temperature of the filament by 5 degrees because this change seemed to disturb it a little bit, but now that I dropped it, it seems to be working fine, so just some minor adjustments. So anyways, hopefully this helped you out, and if you got any questions about your TwoUp, just let me know. Check out our website, DIY3DTech.com. Have a lot of projects on there, 3D printing, laser cutters, CNC machines, product built, using these devices, camera sliders, just all kinds of home fabrication type stuff that, the home fabricator and maker would be interested in. So please stop by. Also subscribe to the channel. We put out probably several videos a week on different things. We're going to be doing a Tinkercad tutorial here pretty shortly, as well as OpenSCAD, so stay tuned for them. So we're trying to put out a lot of good content here to really promote the movement. So what really helps us is if you click the like button below. It's free, doesn't cost anything, and it really helps us produce more videos, because if you click that like button below, what happens is YouTube rates us up and shows our videos more, and we get better matches, and it just helps us out all the way around, and again, doesn't cost anything. And again, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this kind of stuff. We put out a lot of things, and would be interested in hearing from you. So cheers, and see you in the next video.